Hello, welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper, and in last week's video we made the piston for the Baker steam traction engine, and this came out absolutely beautiful. We finished it off over here in the Monarch lathe by tapering the bore for our new piston rod, and here is our old piston rod, and as you can see, this is pretty ugly. She's been beat up, got some pitting, scoring from a pipe wrench. It's in rough shape, and this is not going to work long term for me. It's bad. It's really bad. So we got to make a new one, and what we're going to make that out of is some 1045 chromed rod, which we use for hydraulic cylinders. All right, so here's our piece of material. This is 1045 chrome, and this is what we're going to use because of the cylinder packing. So when you tighten down that packing nut, it creates a seal, but this is always moving, so we want a very smooth finish, which plain steel won't give us, just like what this rod was. And as you can see, this is in really rough shape. This was leaking a lot of steam past. I mean, there's even paint on the rod, which I don't like. You know, it's not traveling that far, but I think the chrome is gonna look really good in there with my red and green paint. All right, I don't think we're getting much better than that. A little bit of movement there, but I can live with that little bit. So we'll go ahead and face the end, center drill it, we'll turn the step for the threads, and then we'll move it out, re-indicate it, and turn the taper. Okay, so instead of moving it right away and doing my taper, I'm gonna just come in and I'm gonna thread this end for my nut, and I'm just gonna cut a little relief here with my threading tool. Not much of one, but enough to give me some relief. And then come in, put my starting chamfer, and touch off. I already have it set up where I need it for my thread pitch. So we'll go ahead and take our first cut. All right, I'm just gonna run a spring pass just to clean it up and we'll see where we're at. All right, so here's the nut I'm gonna use and we'll just see if it'll go. And I think we got a little bit further to go. That starts about 1 thread, so not a lot more to go, but we'll go ahead and take that. All right, let's see how I did there. I didn't take much off. That thread's on all the way. That's pretty good. That should work out just fine for us. So now I'll slide her out, re-indicate it, and we'll cut the taper. So I was spinning the nut on and off here and I was noticing something. I don't know if you can see it, but look how crooked that thing is. This is a good nut from McMaster Car. American made. It is not true at all. So what I'm going to do, I got a nice tight fit on my threads. I'm going to slip a spacer on here and run it on backwards, and we're going to face that surface that mates to my piston because I want that perfect. That should work just like that. And actually I'll throw an indicator on there, we'll see what we got. Okay, so I got her zeroed. I'm running on that flat surface that is what will butt up to my piston, and look at that. There's 5, 15, 18. I'm seeing almost 18, 20, 21 thousandths a run out. That's unacceptable. So we need to face that and get that fixed. That looks a lot better. You know, I honestly cannot believe how poorly made these nuts are nowadays. This was a good quality American made, and it's junk. It's not true. You know, they're just mass producing these things quickly, and just quality is gone. So it should work fine now that I cleaned it up and did that, but that's ridiculous. That's just unacceptable. So next we'll slide her out and go ahead and get our taper cut. All right, so I just set up the taper attachment, and as you can see, it's running the wrong way. That taper is going opposite of what we want, so I'm gonna have to adjust that, which is pretty easy, but then we'll have to do some test fitting to make sure everything fits perfectly. All right, I don't know how well this will be visible, but down in this little window is a scale, and you can see it off the end here, showing me degrees on this side, or over here, taper per foot, inches per foot. and we want 1 degree, which is roughly where I am. So that's, it's kind of all trial and error getting it absolutely dialed in. So we'll make our first cut with the taper attachment and then test fit our piston. All right, well, here goes nothing. Bring it in. There it is. I'll just run it up out of the way. Actually, I'll have to run her out and back so we can test fit. All right, that should be enough taper to test it. Wow, that locks on almost instantly. I'd say we probably got her. I'll have to go a little deeper to make sure, but I think we're good. All right, there it is, a very nice smooth taper. This Monarch cuts an absolutely beautiful taper with that taper attachment. One of the things I absolutely love about that, this lathe, is the taper attachment is so perfect. You just can't beat a Monarch's taper attachment. So now the measurement of my bore at this end is 1/470. So we are actually going to end somewhere about here, which gives me plenty of room for future tightening if things loosen up. So we should be all good. I'll go ahead and we'll slip it on and see how it fits. Wow. I think that'll snug right up. As you can see, we got plenty of room for future tightening. I should still have about 3/8 of an inch of thread roughly right there. Let's just measure. Oh, at least 3/8 of an inch. So we're good to go. Once you get the nut on there and tighten that up, this ain't going anywhere. So now we'll figure out our overall length, cut it off, and thread the other end. All right, so I got my material over here in the Johnson, and I'll show you what's going on here, because you probably got questions why I'm leaving it in the cardboard tube. And that is the similar concept to why we use the aluminum pads on the jaws, as not to scratch the shaft. So that's why the tube is here. We're trying not to scratch the shaft. We're gonna clamp down very tight on that so it don't spin, and cut her off. All right, we'll go ahead and get her back in the lathe, indicated, center drilled, and then face off the end. We'll move her back out, re-indicate, and start threading. All right, so I'm over here at my old one, and looks like about 4 inches of threads. Let's go 4.5, because we're not even going to get into the running area, which is clear back here. So we're good to go 4.5 inches of threads, and that should give me plenty of adjustment. Just got to figure out what this thread pitch is. I believe it's 1.5 inches, 7 or 8, but we'll get the thread gauge out and get that verified. So before I can even start threading, I need to remove the chrome from the rod. And I'll zero my readout and we'll go the 4.5 inches, but I'll just come in, touch off, and I'm going to take 5 thou, and that'll get me under the chrome. So I thought that was a little bit off when it started to move, or get shallower on me, and I realized I hadn't disengaged the taper attachment. And all that is loosening these two, tightening this one up so that it follows, and snugging up another nut over here on the carriage. All right, let's try this again. We'll touch off right there. That should be plenty deep. We're just a light skim cut to get underneath that chrome so as not to have problems with the insert. All right, so a 6 is national standard course, and this is not a 6, as you can see. And I think I remember I ordered an 8 nut because I measured the crosshead and everything, and yep, it's an 8. So I'm gonna grab my nut and verify the nut's right, the new nut, and we'll go from there. All right, here's my new nut, and that's threading on nicely. And this one looks like it's a lot better shape than that 1 3/8 nut. That thing was crooked as all get out. This thing looks actually really good. So we'll be able to work with this one. So for an 8 pitch, we switch her over to threading. We need an AE. So A and E. And there we are. And I already slowed her down. We're going to run 84 RPM. That should be fast enough. We'll go get ready and start threading. All right, so for this thread, we're not going to cut a relief. We're actually going to use the pull-out method and just retract at the end to give it a nice finish, and it'll give it the most strength. Now, a lot of experts agree that the pull-out method doesn't work. Experts are just people too scared to try anything. So I've done this for years. It works great. So let's get cutting thread. All right, come in, cut my chamfer first. I should have done this at a higher RPM, but we're okay. All right, touch off. And here we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put some anchor lube on this. That'll help lubricate it a little bit. And it doesn't take a lot, but it sure works nice. Now I know somebody's going to make some dumb comment about how I didn't do a scratch pass on these threads, and scratch passes are not necessary. They are more for the low-end machines that use change gears, like the South-Bends, the Sebastians, the Atlases, God, there's so many low-end machines out there that are not quality enough to have a good gear change box. So scratch passes are not necessary if you have a quality machine that has a quality gearbox and known feeds and speeds, which the Monarch does. All right, I think I'm going to hit it with a file right here and just see if the nut starts. I don't think it will. I think we got a little ways to go yet. Actually, that's not cutting hardly at all with the file, so that's good. And we'll just see where we're at, and then continue on. Ooh, it just catches one thread there, so we got a little bit further to go. All right, let's see how we did here. There we go. That's a nice fit. I'm gonna go grab the crosshead and we'll see if that fits. All right, moment of truth. Oh, that's a little tight. So we got a little bit further to go to get the crosshead, the thread on. Boy, it's a lot closer. Maybe just a little bit looser. One more pass, I bet we'll get it. Shit. Alright, hopefully we got her this time. It was close before. Boy, it's still a little tight, but you know what? That's probably not a bad thing. I think I'll live with that. It'll go. So that's good. I don't want to go too loose and wind up screwing something up. So, you know, too much slop is not a good thing, and too tight is not a good thing. So this'll be just fine. I'll make this work. Well, there you have it. Brand new piston rod, ready to go. Piston is done. Somebody's going to probably ask about the rings when I'm making those, and I'm not. I sourced those from a company that specializes in making piston rings, and they did a beautiful job on them. Well worth the money I paid. So we're ready to go to start putting this engine back together. Most of the painting is done. As you saw, I had the crosshead painted here. So this is the one color, and the green is the other, the evergreen. So we're making progress, working slowly at it on when I have time. So at some point here, we're going to start the reassembly, and possibly going to try to do that viewer weekend if we haven't done it already when this video comes out, because I'm a few videos ahead working on my own projects. So again, thank you for watching and sticking with me all these years on these fun projects here in the shop. Been some great jobs over the years that I've done, so check out the older content, some really cool videos there. And you know, thank you for all your support and sticking with me. And until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.